The fact that Donald Trump appears to be getting advice on matters of national security from a far-right, pro-white nationalism, 9/11 truther is not even the most disturbing part of the story I'm about to tell you. It's that Trump might actually be listening to her. First, the backstory. NBC News today confirmed with two sources, much of what the New York Times first reported, that prior to yesterday's Tariff Palooza in the Rose Garden, Laura Loomer met with Donald Trump in the Oval Office. The topic of the conversation, firing members of the National Security Council. Mike Walls, the National Security Advisor and Signal chat enthusiast, was in the meeting defending his staff against what Laura Loomer was saying, that some members of the NSC were, quote, disloyal. Remember, Trump got rid of a career federal prosecutor last week, about an hour after Laura Loomer posted about him online. Well, this afternoon, NBC News is confirming that at least 3 national security aides were fired today, while other news outlets report that the number could end up being higher. Notable that this latest purge is happening a week and a half after Signalgate, a scandal for which no one has been fired that we know of, but one for which we learned this afternoon will be the subject of a DOD Inspector General's investigation involving Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Everyone is back. You know, if you're here, we were going to get to the Hegseth of it all. I'm the Laura Loomer, just for you.
I mean, that felt like a report from like a movie, like Don't Look Up or something. You're a fake, you get to play yourself in a movie. No, that's real. Laura Loomer is such a wild-eyed conspiracy theorist. I mean, she's an unapologetic. I think you had quotes in the intro. White nationalist, like, has said that about herself, like cheered the deaths of Muslims, said that, like, she hopes for more. I mean, like, a just nasty person. I will say, when I was at a bar one time when Carrie Lake accosted me, and Laura Loomer did de-escalate, so I don't have any personal things against her, so I appreciated that. But she is a...
Are they friends?
Didn't seem like it. She's a crazy person, and anybody who doesn't believe it could just Google Laura Loomer crazy or just look at her X feed if they wanted to get a sense for this. The fact that she is in the White House talking to the president saying you should fire people who are in charge of national security, and he apparently said, okay, Laura, great, and fired a couple of people who are in his National Security Council or support the National Security Advisor, and that's how the country's being run. And we have a Fox and Friends weekend host that is running the military, so it shouldn't be that surprising. But I think that it is really just important to like marinate on that the people with power in the White House or outside the White House are like these extreme fringe conspiracy theorists that have big followers online, and that they can dictate who is in charge of our country's security, your family's security. And just on this point, one other thing, over at the DOJ today, they had a briefing at the Department of Justice, and it was like Bannon, Benny Johnson, and it was just a whole rogues gallery of Loomer-esque weirdos that were like having a briefing at the DOJ about the politicization of our government. So, Justice Department, national security decisions are being decided by MAGA conspiracy bloggers. So that should help you sleep at night.
Sarah, again, I sort of want to widen the aperture here to the many, many conversations we had about the generals and how impactful their warnings about Donald Trump's, really, they weren't about his policies or his politics. They were about his indifference, maybe, to long-held beliefs and norms about the rule of law, about keeping politics out of the military. They've blown all that up gleefully over 71 days. Is that sort of seeping into the body politic?
Well, just really quickly, we knew that this term, if Donald Trump won, was going to be wildly different than his first term, because those generals were there the first time. You were just asking in the last, segment why voters sort of didn't understand. And it's because, when you take your kids bowling and they're little, so they put up those little gutter things that when they
I put those things up. Yeah,
the bumpers.
Right, the bumpers.
The bumpers, right? The generals were like the bumpers. Donald Trump's first term was filled with career Republicans who acted like bumpers against all of his insane ideas and who protected him essentially from himself. And those bumpers are all gone. And so we are living in the gutter 100% of the time with people like Laura Loomer. And the fact is, no, it is not clear yet, I think, to voters until they feel the negative personal consequences from what Trump is doing. And I think the tariffs, I've started to hear it in the groups. And last time I was on your show was really the first time it had started to bubble up. It's the economic stuff. Even Doge, some people are nervous about it. They don't love Elon Musk, but people have to they have to touch the stove, right? They have to feel the negative personal consequences before they're really going to turn on him. And that's why I think the tariffs are one of the things that are really going to start shifting the environment for Donald Trump, because they will have real world negative impacts on people's wallets fast.